Be all welcome to the Gods of Semen channel. I am Laerti, and here we will dive together in a universe of spirituality and personal development, focusing on a powerful practice that few know in depth, seminal retention. Over the years, I have studied and experienced my own skin how to direct this vital energy can unlock an extraordinary potential for spiritual, mental, and physical growth. You may identify with that constant feeling of tiredness, demotivation, or even lack of purpose. I've been through this too. The good news is that there is a transformative path that can reverse this picture and lead you to a state of greater clarity, self-confidence, and discipline. Seminal retention is an ancient art that helps rediscover its own inner strength and build a life of true achievements. And before we went on, I want to make it clear, I will answer questions only to anyone who sends a thanks over $5. Thus, I prioritize the biggest contributions, and at the same time, you support the growth of the channel, allowing more people to receive this transformative message. Stay with me until the end of this video because I will share valuable information and powerful insights that can revolutionize your journey. Get ready for a new phase of your life. Let's find out together how seminal retention can be the turning point you were looking for. I catch myself reflecting intensely about how female perception acts in dimensions that go beyond appearances. Because throughout my journey, I realized that the way I internalize my learning, the obstacles I overcome, and the spiritual discipline that developed a subtle energy that radiates from me, almost imperceptible but powerful. I feel that this perception connects the woman to something deep in my essence, a sense of self, confidence that does not have to establish themselves in ostentation, but naturally emerges from the certainty that I am walking a path of self-control, self-knowledge, and expansion of my being. I believe that when I really align with whom I am, without the eagerness to prove anything to anyone, my presence carries a silent firmness that manifests itself in my gaze, my actions, and even in the intonation of my voice. I see this as a magnetism that does not rest on superb, but the tranquility of being consistent with my internal values and goals, which inevitably arouses curiosity and attracts glances very genuinely. Often I note that women perceive these subtle layers of my personality without knowing how to explain exactly why they feel attracted. But it is palpable how this energy reading happens silently, as if they saw the story of my search for inner growth, the way I seek to improve, and the solidity I built through my daily discipline rituals. And it is at this point that I bring out the practice of seminal retention, because I realize that when conserving and redirecting this vital energy, I create a denser, more solid aura, which is not easily shaken by difficulties or temptations. I am impressed with how much this practice intensifies my mental clarity and stabilizes my emotions, creating a kind of vibrational field that conveys security and firmness on purpose. I even realize that even without explicitly explicating my habits or choices, some women come to see me an unshakable presence, as if they intuited that I do not live due to external validations, but that my trail with serenity. This way of relating to my own energy brought me valuable lessons on how authentic self-confidence is independent of showing material results. There is a silent force that arises from constant discipline, self-control, and spiritual improvement, something that is often confused with charisma, but which is in fact the result of a well-crafted vibration. I believe that we men sometimes underestimate the power of a serene presence, which does not require noise or demonstrations of exaggerated virility to be noted. When I keep my energy, I feel that I turn it into a kind of internal fuel that reinforces each choice, every step I go towards my projects and dreams. And it is not about boasting success, but of manifesting a state of balance that in itself is seductive, because it demonstrates be careful with myself and a commitment to my personal evolution. Over time, I realized that the effect of this goes beyond any deliberate effort to impress. Something fascinating is the way this retained energy raises my level of consciousness, allowing me to perceive nuances of the environment around me more clearly, which makes me more aware of opportunities and more empathic in interactions with people. And I must say that this expanded sensitivity generates thin attunement with the female universe, as I better understand the subtleties of the emotions of others, establishing a richer exchange of looks and feelings. When I observe this subtle attraction happening, I am genuinely grateful. Practice, discipline, and construction of a solid presence. My experience shows me that the quality of this energy is not the result of wild techniques, but the integration between inner life and everyday actions. And I feel that somehow this tuning of body, mind, and spirit creates a kind of vibrational signature difficult to ignore. Often when I comment with colleagues about seminal retention, I realize that there is a certain curiosity, but also distrust. Perhaps because few understand that retention is not only containment of instincts, but a conscious redirect that affects the way we present ourselves to the world. I like to point out that it is not about denying sexuality, but of incorporating this creative power to refine my purposes and cultivate a maturity that is not led to momentary impulses. And in this respect, women seem to have an outlined sensitivity to capture whether I live or not distracted in search of immediate pleasure. They feel, even without words, if my gaze reflects focus and commitment to my growth, or if I am just reacting to external stimuli without much mastery of myself. It is amazing how this instant reading happens, as it emphasizes the way emotions and intentions can be perceived intuitively, without me having to open my mouth. And deepening me in this practice and mental state, I notice that relationships and interactions become fuller, because I end up approaching people who also value personal evolution and a life free of dispersions. This generates a pleasant tune where conversations flow on significant topics, where there is exchange of knowledge and a motivation to grow together. And specifically with women, I feel that there is a mutual admiration that is born not only of appearance, but what I am building internally, the zeal I have with my own mind and my spirituality. In my experience, this reveals themselves in the way they feel comfortable sharing deeper experiences, perhaps because they feel that there is a solid foundation, a real interest and a calm to hear them without judgments. Many men wonder why some women feel irresistibly attracted to those who carry some tranquility in the countenance, a certain peace of mind, and a certain detachment from validations. I have already wondered myself, and the answer I found lies in the fact that this peace conveys confidence, shows that man does not depend on circumstances to stay firm. It is as if there is an inner root, growing deeply, that sustains every action and word. And I cannot deny that this root is increasingly strengthened with seminal retention, as the control and channeling of this vital energy generate a transforming impulse. It is virtually impossible to express in words the strength I feel when I direct my energy to overcoming boundaries, the pursuit of goals, and the development of noble values. This sensation feeds my determination and reinforces a posture of seriousness in the face of life. It is something that women capture, perhaps even unconsciously, as a sign that there is a real commitment to inner growth, something rare and highly valued. Find out how to awaken your true potential and walk a path of deep personal transformation with my new book, Alchemy of the Gods. In it you will know the secrets of Kundalini, crystalline oil, and spiritual liberation. Learning to channel subtle forces to achieve emotional balance, inner connection, and expansion of consciousness. Whether you are beginner or already experienced in self-development practices, this book is the bridge that connects ancestral knowledge to its modern evolution. Available in physical, digital, and audiobook format, Alchemy of the Gods fits your routine so that nothing prevents your journey towards a full and significant life. Click now on the link in the description or comment fixed to ensure your copy and take the first step toward a new reality. But first of all, I have a novelty that you didn't expect. Meet my audiobook, Semen Retention Success Path, with more than 2 hours of content focused on the 6 essential pillars of seminal retention. If you want to unlock life energy, restore focus, and boost your personal growth, this audiobook is the definitive key to transcending limitations and achieving real results. As a special bonus, those who acquire Semen Retention Success Path gets 30% off the Art of Semen Retention for Men ebook, which brings 20 pages of advanced techniques for spiritual evolution, emotional balance, and clarity of life purpose. Do not miss this opportunity to strengthen your inner discipline and transform your story once and for all. And there is more. Become a member of my channel. In addition to directly supporting our work and ensuring even more quality content, you will receive exclusive benefits such as early access to videos, priority responses, and other advantages that will make all the difference in your self-development journey. Its participation
channel active and stuffed with news. The time is now. Click on the description, get your materials, become a member, and start living the transformation you want so much. I believe this kind of man, who works his energy consciously, becomes a point of reference in a world where so many are lost in immediate distractions and pleasures. I see this as an opportunity to inspire other people to look inside and question their habits, because deep down, we all seek a state of greater fullness and stability. However, I built this certainty on the basis of attempts, discipline, and self-operation. I remember well when I was younger and did not understand why it seemed so difficult to keep my mind focused or support confidence in myself when external pressures arose. It was as if any obstacle shaken my structure. Then I found that sexual energy, when not properly directed, weakens the will and concentration, feeding a cycle of anxiety and search for instant pleasures. When I started studying about retention and spirituality, it all began to make sense, because I realized that much of the energy I wasted could be applied to my integral development. I realized that the sum between spirituality, meditation, and seminal retention generated a kind of natural armor against emotional instability, and that's when it all began to change. I felt more centered, more mature, and capable of facing the ups and downs with serenity. This ripening, curiously, was reflected in the way women reacted to my presence, not noisy or screaming, but as a silent charm. I could notice more receptive smiles, an interest in listening to what I had to say, and, more than that, a genuine consideration for my position. I think all this happens because my energy is no longer diffuse, to becoming more crystal clear, and the woman, with her keen perception, recognizes this transformation. This recognition on the part of them happy, but I do not see it as something to inflate the ego, but as an indicator that I am on the right track, deepening my personal development and offering the world a more authentic version of myself. I like to think that, from this inner change, I will attract circumstances more aligned with my purposes, as well as relationships based on deeper affinities. When I look at the question of attraction, both physical and emotional, I understand that it is not limited to a surface exchange, but carries a very intense energy and spiritual dimension. And at this point, I realize that the man who is dedicated to taking care of his energy through seminal retention, self-knowledge, and daily discipline will naturally issue signs of balance and confidence that are virtually impossible to pretend. It is different from trying to seem confident and imposing, to force the voice, or squandering external status symbols. It is a quality that emerges from the interior, reinforced with each act of care, with itself, and with each effort to maintain the focus on what really matters. I consider that women value this authenticity, this state in which men proves to be present, whole, and free from psychological games. It is as if, when presenting myself with this posture, I also show respect for her space, allowing conversation and coexistence to flow more naturally. In this sense, talking about inner strength has gained a much greater meaning to me than just thinking about being resistant or brave. Inner strength today, for me, is synonymous with silent power that is born of discernment, mastery of their own impulses, and the ability to stay aligned with their own goals. And it is true that seminal retention has become the dorsal spine of this process, because by preserving this energy, I feel that I shielding myself against waste that could disperse my focus. It is almost as if I were recapitulating my energy and directing it to my goals, my meditation, and the strengthening of my spirit. It doesn't make me perfect, but it makes me more aware of my choices and their consequences. And this conscience alone generates tranquility in the face of life and any challenge. Many do not understand when I say that seminal retention offers a deep sense of wholeness, perhaps because they see only the sexual side of the issue and ignore the potential of this energy fuel for all areas of life. But I'm sure my emotional state, my focus, and my aura received a gigantic upgrade after I embraced this practice seriously. Speaking as someone who has experienced and felt this change in the skin, I can say that, undoubtedly, feminine perception becomes a reflection of this transformation, because by cultivating this inner force, we offer a kind of confidence and stability that few men can show genuine. I feel that this serene aura fascinates not only by apparent calm, but also because it demonstrates that there is a history of self, sufficiency, and conscience behind it. Women perceive this and feel attracted not by the figure of an alpha male that screams to the world there. Virility, but by someone whose energy speaks louder than 1,000 words. Someone who, instead of seeking approval, seems firm in the way he has chosen. And this firmness, I would say, is not a rigidity, but a peaceful constancy. In fact, I believe that this whole issue of subtle attraction and inner strength is not about impressing, but about maintaining a deep connection with yourself, which is reflected in the way we interact with those who cross our path. After all, when we are at peace inside, we radiate this peace, and, for some reason, people tend to feel curious and captivated by it. I particularly see how beautiful it can see that true confidence is born in our core, in a space where we learn to dominate our impulses and nourish our mind with healthy and constructive thoughts. So, for me, this chapter perfectly exemplifies the importance of practicing seminal retention as a factor that enhances not only sexual energy, but vital energy broadly. I am convinced that this process strengthens my presence and helps me to relate fully, because I am not at the mercy of urgent needs and unbridled desire, but free to build relationships based on empathy, safety, and mutual admiration. This emotional freedom reflects maturity, and women, noticing this trait, tends to be interested in a